Onstage, Sean said to chill time. 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 Time, and chill.
Tonight, we welcome the cabaret performer, musician, and circus-minded rabble-rouser Strangely. He has performed as far away as Europe and Australia. He is currently on a cross-country bicycle tour of the U.S., and later on, he will perform in front of a live audience as part of this broadcast. Please welcome to the program, Strangely, how do you say your last name? Duesberg. And would you please introduce your special guest to our fans here tonight?
Well, this is my best friend in the whole wide world, Mr. Aaron J. Shay.
Hi, guys.
Let's hear it for Aaron J. Shay. Come on.
Yep. Big hand.
Thank you.
Strangely is from Bellingham, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
He's currently in Northern California. This is where this show is taped, at the Phoenix in Petaluma, California. And he has shows booked as far as Florida, as I've been told.
I've got some things going out into Florida, and I'm sort of right now in the process of booking up the East Coast. So anybody out there on the East Coast looking to see a bicyclist roll into town and play some accordion, let me know.
This is the man.
Charlie Davenport, a previous guest on the show of Rags, my God. He said that in previous performances you detail like your he called it like the Strangely spiel about self-expression, about not letting people get in the way of who you are and all that. Would you mind summing that up for the audience here tonight?
Well, I have this thing that I do where I am taking off my clothes. It was the finale of my show for a long time. I've sort of not. I don't do it as much anymore because people have started to expect it from me, but I still do it. So what I do is I start taking off my clothes, and I basically say something along the lines of, there are people in this life who will tell you what you can and cannot do, and where you can and cannot do it, and things like that. And you should forget those people, because life is too short and precious and beautiful to not just live, to not tell people you care about, I love you, to not grab your bag and go on an adventure. And so I'm continuing to say this, and then I say, I realized a long time ago I'd never be the best accordion player, or the best juggler, or the best anything. There's one thing that I can and will always be the best at, and I'm about to take my pants off at that point. And then I say, and that's being Strangely.
And the crowd goes wild a little bit.
I'm really good at it. Yeah, the crowd goes wild at the and then I say, so I hope to introduce to you, I want to share with you my most prized possession. This is my onesie. And I take off my pants, and I'm wearing a onesie. And for me, if it's a onesie or if it's a crazy hat or a beard or whatever, like, life should be lived, and you should live it freely. I had a friend telling me I should go to Burning Man, and their selling point was, you can walk around wearing whatever you want. And to be honest, that's what I do every single day. But I really, that if I can really get people to do one thing after they leave a show that I do, it's just to be their own goofy self.
Did you have like any breaking points in your life, or like people or things or experiences that happened where maybe you were on another path and you were like, you know what? I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to go ride my bike around and play accordion for people instead of what I was doing before.
Oh boy, howdy. So when I was 18 and I was in my last year of high school, I was working at a local restaurant in town and just kind of having the basic high school experience. And I had played violin for about 10 years. I'd played piano for like 12 years. Like since I was a little kid, I've been playing musical instruments and involved in school theater and stuff. So I was very excited about film. I wanted to be in film. And my family was religious. And so my parents said that the only way that they would help me pay for college was if I went to a religious university. And so the university that I picked was called Biola down in Los Angeles. And I think Biola sounds like a Southern woman who would cook you some grits. Like, we going down to Biola's tonight. Going to get some grits. And so Biola is a seminary that also has a film school in it, or sort of a thing. And so I went down there, and it was just awful. I didn't like LA. I didn't like the college. I didn't like the sort of the culture of the people at the school. That it was kind of this. It was just a very strange place. And I started doing drugs while I was there, and then dropped out, moved back up to Bellingham, Washington, my hometown. Got the same job I had in high school. Moved into an apartment with my best friend from high school.
So we have one breaking point going down to that school, which was awful, and then you come back, and now you're probably hitting another breaking point.
Right, and now I'm at this. I'm doing everything I was doing in high school, and I'm doing drugs and everything now, and not making any art, but fancying myself very bohemian. You know, we'd stay up all night drinking absinthe, talking about how we were going to fix the world, and forget all of it. Or like I have things that I wrote then, and they're horrible. It's like I would just write.
Seemed great at the time.
I would write Fatboy Slim lyrics and think I had like discovered something amazing. A lot of things kind of, it's, you know, you talk about a singular point, but I think what often happens in people's lives is that there are things that sort of stack on and on and on and on. And the singular point that we remember is sort of the straw breaking the camel's back. But a woman that I worked with at the restaurant, a very dear friend called Della Mustachella, that is her. She's a circus performer now. She was also working at the restaurant at the time as a part-time bartender. Said to me, "Hey, I'm doing this show over at a local bar, and you should come and sing a song at it." Because people would hear me singing in the kitchen and stuff, and everybody knew I was musical and stuff. I thought, well, shucks, I'll go do it. So I went and did my high school karaoke song, which was "Friend Like Me" from Aladdin. And
beautiful, a great tune.
And
really.
like had like 6 different outfits on, and was stripping out of my clothes, and just stuff was flying everywhere. And the crowd just went absolutely bug nuts mental. So here I am, like 20 years old. Like I love to perform, but I haven't had a place to perform until then. And so it was just so wonderful. And at the end, people were like, yeah. And so I went home that night, and for the first time, like I just slept, and like didn't have weird, crazy dreams, didn't whatever. Woke up the next morning and was like, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, Mr. Mailman. My voice didn't sound like that. I don't know where that came from, but it was just like, it finally felt like something had unlocked. And so I started more and more performing with like this local circus troupe and performing in open mics around town. There's a circus open mic that's still going in Bellingham. It's a monthly fun censored variety show.
And what happens at a circus open mic? In a sentence or two.
Well, it's just basically everybody gets 5 minutes to do whatever they want.
That's a great concept.
Like you can do stand-up comedy, you can do music, but some people do juggling acts or clown acts or contortion or whatever. Vaudevillingham is like it's an internationally known event that happens on the 15th of every month in
I gotta
Bellingham.
ask, how big a town is Bellingham?
Bellingham's about 50,000 people, but it has so many artists. It has the second highest number of artists per capita after Santa Fe, I believe.
Huh. So they can keep this thing going week after week?
Once a month.
Once a month.
But yeah, there's a local circus community in Bellingham of between 50 and 100 people, mostly hobbyists, but a few professionals and things like that. And at one of these, this guy got up on stage, and he played this song about grapefruits. And
well, it's not really about grapefruits. It's bigger than that, strangely.
But it's like it's called the Grapefruit Song, and I heard it once and didn't hear it again for 2 years. But it was this guy. It was Aaron Shay, and he was like, rah, and you're gonna do this, and everybody's gonna go over here, and then you're all gonna like sing this, and all of you sing this, and everybody's gonna rah. And I was just like, this is amazing, because I was emceeing the show.
Mm-hmm. That's
and so
where we met.
I had to come out and be like, that was Aaron Shay. And so we didn't see each other for a couple years, and like within 6 months of that first show where I performed for the first time, I had quit the day job and was like living out of a backpack, and was crashing in people's warehouses and stuff, and just like basically being a circus hobo.
The high you were looking for with the drugs you were doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Was, and in your words, Tom, many times the performance high was the greatest high that you could have felt.
It's like mainlining whatever. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like even and that's why I will still perform for 4 or 5 people, because for me it's not the size of the audience, it's like the size of the heart in the audience. And I know a lot of people say things like that. Like my favorite line is that I'd rather be 6 people's favorite thing than 100 people's 6th favorite thing. Isn't there? There's a band.
Yeah, I think that's.
I can't remember who they are, and I feel so shit that I don't. But that idea that like, if there are only 4 or 5 people, I'm gonna give them the same show that I would give 100 people or 1,000 people, because for me the high doesn't come from having people go, "Oh my God, you're so great." It comes from sharing and opening up and giving something, because I think a performance is a gift. That is what I most enjoy about performing, is getting to give something to people. And at first I didn't understand that. When I was first starting to perform when I was younger, it was just like, oh my God, like people are cheering for me. And it's something that over the last 7 years since that first show I've learned. And it's been a slow journey, because when you first start performing, you're like, oh, people are cheering for me, and it feels good to have people cheer for you. But what feels even better is to be giving something to those people.
Yeah.
Because they've left their houses and they've come out in a time, in an era in human history where you really don't have to leave your house for anything. Like Amazon will deliver you a new goldfish.
So back to Strangely's, he'd had that performance, and now he's quit the job, and now he's, you say, living out of a backpack, on couches,
couch surfing, whatever.
Exactly.
Being
no steady income necessarily.
No steady income,
but performing and receiving a great emotional income from the crowd.
And learning to juggle and all these things, and kind of sort of building up to a point. Like I started writing shows. And
how do your parents feel while all this is going on?
They're
less excited than you are at the time you're describing.
It's a thing where through being involved with circus and things like that, I met this guy named Carl, and he is such a dear friend to me, and in some ways sort of a surrogate parent, in that he is very supportive of all of my circus and vaudeville and travel and all of that. But what's really interesting about Carl is, I think that sort of the standard narrative with people who find a surrogate parent is that it is a replacement, and it's sort of like, oh, this is better. And the thing with Carl is he was always very supportive of my parents, in that, and really helping me, because when I first started, it was just like, screw you, Mom and Dad, I juggle now, and I'm gonna spitfire, even though it's horrible for my teeth, because I can make $5 extra for a show if I like all that kind of stuff. And I remember Carl sat me down one night, and he was like, you need to stop being so negative about your parents, because every time you go over to their house, they feed you dinner. Which means, sure, they're not going to every show or clapping. They're not saying great job with the accordion song about having your butt slapped by a guy in the shower or whatever. But they're feeding you, and they still love you. And I think that's the thing about my parents that has always been incredible, is that this whole journey for me has not always been like onward and upward. Like I said, like I learned to spit fire, and I did that for a couple of years, and that's like literally the stupidest thing you can do for yourself. At one point I burned off, I had a whole beard and I burned it off, and I couldn't talk for a week.
Did you get the $5 extra for that one?
No. And yet my parents they still love me, and they still will talk to me. Yeah. And that's actually incredible.
You say that incredulously too.
No, well, I don't
Look,
know.
your
It's just
parents have helped create an incredible individual.
Yeah, and the older I get, the more that I realize that the things that I think are super great in performance come from things that my parents showed me. Like I remember when I was 14, my dad was like, "I got this video. You got to see this." And he puts it in, and it's Andy Kaufman live at Carnegie Hall. And it just it blew my freaking mind, this guy. And then he's like telling the whole, we're going to take you out for milk and cookie. And I'm like, I want to do that someday.
You took the whole audience out, yes.
But it's,
Andy Kaufman.
it's like, I'm really glad because I say that, I guess, with that somewhat incredulous voice because I have friends whose parents refuse to acknowledge their existence because of the career path that they've chosen. I know a guy up in Portland who is a boylesque dancer.
What's a boylesque dancer?
It's like a burlesque dancer, but a boy with a twiddly mustache. And his family is religious, very religious, like my family. But because what he does is inherently viewed as very sexual, they just don't talk to him.
It's an interesting thing when a person goes from a negative mental outlook to a positive mental outlook. What I'm saying is you can go around complain about your parents to your friends all day long. You can go around complain about how everybody else who busks is bullshit and you're not. When the light goes on in one's head that they're not going to do that anymore, things can change and they can change in a really positive way. Does that resonate at all with you?
Yeah, it does. And that is, again, one of those kind of ways of thinking that I am trying to impart in my shows is that idea of that people can change, but also that your view of people can change.
And that can change you.
Yes, exactly.
That's really a profound thing. And
I think I used to be a lot more judgmental of other artists based on sort of how they presented and what they were wearing and things like that. But I still I really hope that people put some thought into it. But at the end of the day, for me, the art that's coming out the other side is the most important thing. It's I don't care what you're wearing. If your songs are bullshit, your songs are bullshit. But that's such an interesting thing that being open to change and things like that. I was in New York City for the very first time I'd ever been there. This was within a year of sort of dropping out of the real world and joining the circus. And
are you actually in a real circus?
I was for a while. I would tour with the New Old Time Chautauqua in the summers, and I was part of the in Bellingham. There was the Bellingham Circus Guild, and I was a member for about 4 years or something like that. But I went to New York, and ended up at a auto lot up in the Bronx, helping a guy work on his veggie oil bus. And then these two guys came up to us, these two Salvadoran guys, and they were like, "Hey, Holmes, what are you doing? We saw you juggling, Holmes." It was this very presenting very aggressively, these guys, and they both had guns and these guys were legit.
You thought you were actually going to get shot for juggling?
Yeah. So they're like, "Do you know any magic, Holmes?" And I know exactly one magic trick.
I know how to disappear as quickly as I can.
Yeah, and I know exactly one magic trick, and I can make a playing card disappear behind my hand.
Cool.
And so I did a couple of other card tricks that or whatever, and they were just like, no. And then I did that one. And these guys lost their bananas. They're like, "Oh, shit, Holmes! You're like Chris Angel and shit! Oh, Holmes!" I've never been called Holmes more than I was that day.
Oh, my God.
So the next thing I know, they go over to, because they were also working on a car. And they go over to their car, and they have a case of beer, and they bring it over, and we're having some beers. And then they're on their cell phones. And then, over the next hour, 4 or 5, crazy lowrider LED lights on the bottom cars roll up, and all of these the whole their whole friend group rolls up, their crew or whatever, their girlfriends, everybody, just beer everywhere, this huge raging party. And like we ended up like juggling for them, and it's like this crazy thing. And then this guy came who was like their big, their I don't know, their leader, the big man in the group, and he was like, "I hear you like Chris Angel and shit, Holmes." And I was like, "Yeah," and I'm like very drunk by this point, and I did the trick. And he's like, "Oh shit, Holmes!" Same thing again, and all these people, they just like loved it, and they kept asking me to do it. It's the same trick over and over again, and they just loved it. And it was like all barriers that would have been between us just were gone because of this one simple little piece of art.
Thank God they didn't ask for an encore.
Yeah, like, what else do you do? I'm like,
But there's a profound point here you're making.
yeah,
right?
yeah, but it's like I think that day was the start of me going on this journey of realizing that art is a gift and it's a point of connection between people. We partied with them really late, and then they loaded us up into their cars and drove us back to the fancy apartment of my friend's parents that we were staying with, like down in Manhattan, like, and we just rolled in and we're like, and get out of these cars, and like all like car alarms are going off because the bass is. But that's I've really tried to carry that with me everywhere. That the people that need the connection the most, a lot of people, we've been saying we're going to go down and do these shows in Fresno, and a lot of people have been like, "Oh, Fresno, why would you go there?" And those are the people who are like really excited that you've come to them, that you've brought something to them. The circus that I toured with for a couple of years, the New Old Time Chautauqua, is a not-for-profit volunteer circus that seeks to bring circus to under-circused communities. And so they'll do shows at prisons. They've gone up to like these outer islands in Alaska. Wow. They went to New Orleans for the first Mardi Gras after Katrina, I think.
Beautiful. Like
just amazing what these folks have done, and I've gotten to be a part of some of their stuff. And we did a show like an Indian reservation up in Northern California, and at the time I was doing this clown act where I would bring people up on stage and I would give them each a bell. So I'd bring like 8 little kids up on stage and have them all ring a bell, and I would point at them in an order while I played my accordion and kind of make this whole, it never really sounded great, but like I had a song that I'd written that I'd have them play. And one of the like tribal police, like they have, because they have their own police organizations, was there kind of at the side of the crowd. And so I pulled him up and gave him the highest little like bell. And the crowd just went crazy. And this guy who had just been like stone-faced, like broke into a smile. And it was like, it just became this wonderful moment of like, we're all the same. And we all can feel silly, and we all can be a part of this thing. And just the more places I go, the more of that kind of connection I find.
Isn't that a funny thing, by the way, as a performer? And you can all, I think, see this. You have to do that every night you perform. You know what I mean? That I find with a lot of audience members, and I don't perform in front of people often, but I observe a lot of performances, and it seems like there's a wall each individual in the audience has, and some it goes away the minute the lights go down, and some it takes 3 or 4 songs, and some it takes 3 or 4 drinks, and some it takes right until the encore. But that is, as a performer, it would seem to me your job is to bring that wall down so that the audience is all engaged.
One of the things I describe it as is that I am a performer and I am inside a circle, and the audience is inside a circle. And a lot of people think that as a performer, you're supposed to like bash through into their circle and like tear open their walls or whatever. And the way I like to see it is that I draw a bigger circle around all of us, and that is a show.
Mm-hmm. That works.
Yeah, I've never heard you describe it like that, but that's I think about this a lot. The 2 disparate circles that you mention, I think about that as kind of like pop culture, and what we try to create is folk culture, which is bringing the circle around so that everyone is involved.
Wow.
It's like there was a musician named Faith Petrick down in San Francisco for years and years, and she was part of the New Old Time Chautauqua and also involved with country fair and things like that. Just an amazing woman, like was still touring like into her 90s.
Wow.
And she would used to say something. I'm gonna mess the quote up, but it was something like, "This is folk music. We're all folks, and this is music." And then she started a song. It's just like, yes, yes,
That's correct.
Yeah, you know, and the accordion for me is a party in a box. I have danced and sung with people that without an accordion I would not talk to. I remember I was busking on the street one day in my hometown, and these like three like no homo, bro. These three bros come up to me, and they were like rocking out to what I did, and then one of them was like, "Dude, if we pay you like $100, will you go on a bar crawl with us, bro?" And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Well, we just want to like go into a bar and have you dance on a table and be like Ireland and shit, bro."
I have never heard you tell this story before.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, here's the deal. You guys give me $100 cash up front when I arrive, and you pay for all my drinks, and you have to take the flack if we get in trouble at a bar.
They brought their own band with them.
So we rolled into we started going to all of their favorite bars, and we got thrown out. Like I'd get like a little way into a song, we get thrown out. All the bro bars, right?
All the bro bars.
And then
What town is this in?
this is Bellingham, my hometown.
Okay.
And then we went to like this amazing divey little hole in the wall that I'm not going to name because all the hipsters will murder me. We go in there, and the bros go up to the bartender, and they're like all surrounding him, and they're like talking really intense and waving their hands and pointing at me. And finally the bartender's like, "No, okay." Turns off the music, and the bros are like, "Get on the bar, bro." And so I got up on the bar and did my Not Yet song, "What Do We Say to Death Today?"
Not yet.
And the place
Not yet.
the place just went crazy. And then the bartender was like, "I'm going to get in so much trouble with my manager, like, but please keep playing for everybody, but like maybe outside." And so the night for me ended with me moshing in the middle of 200 people, like spilling into the street, like the cops were called, like it was a riot, singing Smash Mouth All Star, like just bouncing up and down with like 200 people.
The showstopper.
And none of them were my people. Like they were mostly all like these bros as friends. Like the bros were calling in the bro patrol. But there were dudes, like big, you know, like meathead dudes weeping as they sang along with Smash Mouth All Star drunkenly.
There is a universality that exists to the human experience, but oftentimes the images or personalities or groups that we belong with put up these walls. And what you're describing with both the New York story and the bro story are moments where it seemed like the odds were against you. And at the end of it, everybody was brought together by the power of the accordion, by the power of your performance, whatever you want to call it. And I think that like that is a struggle that I think everybody has to go through in life, because it's like a lot of people don't show their true full selves throughout their entire lives because they're afraid of what the world's going to do and all that. You have gone the opposite direction and are being your total unabashed self and using the accordion to help get that point across, and with great success based on those two stories. And I think there's something very inspiring about that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And you know, I think this is something that Aaron feels as well, is that like I would consider myself more of a shy person.
Yeah.
Like, and I know that like to see me perform, you think no, but like I really enjoyed performing, I think, and still do, because it gives me a feeling of safety with meeting new people. I can say a lot of things about myself, but if something goes wrong, or I can say, "Oh wait, let's stop. I'm going to start the song over," or "Oh, I need to stop." You know, like that feeling, because it's walking up to a stranger and saying, "Hello, my name is Strangely," or whatever, is the scariest thing.
Absolutely.
You know, that it's like, you know, people are like, "Oh, she's beautiful." Like, "Oh, just go talk to us. She's nice." It's like that is the scariest thing for anybody to do. And yet when you come out on stage and you're dressed goofy and you have an accordion, people will at least go, just for a second, and in that second you can feel a little bit safer to sort of get in there. And I think that for you, that the songwriting that you do as well as that.
Absolutely. There is a certain barrier that doesn't exist when you're on stage, because people have come to see a performance and they're willing to listen. When you're going up to someone to talk to them and they're a stranger, you don't know if you found them on a bad day. You don't know if they are interested in meeting strangers, but that kind of contract that you have shown up for a show, I have shown up to give you a show, creates a reason to interact. And that creates some really beautiful moments just because that agreement exists.
Yeah, I would say, I think everybody at this table would agree that the more and the more varied people you let into your life, the fuller life you can have. And performing is a very good way to open that door.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And house concerts, which are things that we tend to play around the country, are one of those great ways of bringing lots of people together.
And especially, I think the reason that house concerts are so effective is that lowering of inhibitions.
Yes.
Because you are not in a public place, you're in someone's home. And what happens with being in someone's home is that, like, there's not some giant public bathroom. There's like one little bathroom.
Yeah,
and you know, and you have to talk to people, but you don't have to talk to people like in this like way. And there are things to talk about. You know, you can go, oh, look at that book that they have. You know, like there's you're inside of the perfect environment to get to know somebody, even if both of you are not from the house or you don't know anybody at the house. It's like, I really think it's fantastic.
And
go ahead.
Another thing that I think really creates an amazing atmosphere at a house concert is it is not a commercial experience in the same way that going to a bar to see a show is. When you go to a bar to see a show, you give money at the door, you go to a person, give money for a drink. You are fully aware that money is an important part of this moment. And in a house concert, it just feels like a social occasion, and money might change hands, but it doesn't feel as central.
And that is why, even though like I tour internationally, I've played sold out shows on 3 continents now, like I still love doing my street circle show, which is like a 15-minute version of my stage show with more juggling and stuff like that. But like the bicycle on the face and all that kind of stuff happens.
That's a good one.
Because nobody, there's no bar to entry for a street show. Yeah. That is what I absolutely love about street performing. You don't have to pay.
Yeah.
You don't have to, you know, do anything to sort of set. There's no setup. There's no time specific. It just happens when it happens.
Yeah.
And I think that is the best. Like when a street show goes good, it is the best kind of show because all of those people were not expecting to see that.
Yeah.
Like as much as a sold out crowd losing their minds at like a venue or a theater or a bar or something for what you've done is great and feels really good. They all they knew a thing was going to happen. Maybe they didn't know exactly what.
They all bought in. I mean, they knew what they were coming for as opposed to your friends in New York or your bro friends in Bellingham.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of fantasization about what it is like in Ireland, about this sort of culture of music, and everybody's just standing on the table singing all the time, and everything's, you know, whatever, and everybody. How did Dylan Moran put it? He's this Irish comedian I really love. He said, to everywhere else in the world, Ireland is just a happy little place full of a bunch of happy little people who live together in a big pie. Which it's not.
It's not really a pie.
But I the first time I went to Ireland, I was running all over the place trying to find that like mythical, idealized version of like how people are in Irish pubs or whatever. And it you know, any Irish pub you go in and it's American top 40. I went to an open mic at an Irish pub or not an open mic, Kaylee, just like a bunch of people sitting around playing trad music, and I had my accordion and I kind of got it out, and they were like, "Oh, what's your name?" And yeah, play with us. And I played with them for a while, and then they asked me to play one of my songs. And so I played like this really sad song that I wrote, but that was inspired kind of by Irish music. And everybody, like a couple people cried, and like they really embraced it. And then these two guys got in a fight because two of them, like one of them insisted it was an old Irish tune, and the other one was like, no, that's too American. And I wrote it, so that felt good. Yeah. But then I played another song for them, and just everything went off. And I had found the crack, but it was the kind of thing where I think I was expecting Ireland to give it to me because that was what I thought Ireland would do. And what I didn't realize was that it was something that I had to bring. If I wanted that moment to happen, I had to provide that moment. Because when I started playing the second song, I like climbed up on the bar and was dancing on the bar. It's like, if I want to see someone dance on a bar in Ireland, I'll have to do it.
Yeah, it's going to have to be you.
Yeah, I mean, sure, I might end up somewhere, but like, I made this thing happen that like a lot of more elderly folks there actually they were like, this is great. That same night I was very intoxicated leaving, and I was walking down the street back to the hostel I was staying at, and I saw these 6 or 7 people kind of stomping toward me, very, very purposefully drunk. You know, they were the purposefully drunk. And as I got closer to them, I heard them all speaking to each other, and they're all speaking Russian, which I speak a little bit of Russian because I studied at university for a couple of years. And I kind of just didn't want to deal with drunk Russians, so I kind of tried to just walk. I tried to be purposefully drunk, and I accidentally shoulder clipped one of them. Oh. And so he turns around, and he's like, "Что?" Which is like, what? And I was like, "Oh, извините, я не хотел делать плохо." Like, I'm sorry, I did not mean to cause offense. I did it like, and like, "Oh, я говорил по-русски." And I'm like, "Да, я говорил по-русски." Like, I speak Russian, yeah. And sort of had this little back and forth where they asked me where I'd learned to speak Russian, and sort of that, you know, why. And they asked, "Why do you speak Russian?" I said, "Oh, я очень любит русская грамматика, и русский язык, и русская музыка." And like, "Oh, you love Russian music.
Uh-oh.
Prove it."
Prove it.
And I know exactly one song in Russian, but it's that Moscow Nights, the "Не слышно в саду даже шорохи, если замерло до утра, если б знали бы, как мы дороги, подмосковные вечерна." And I finish, and they're all like, "Oh!" They all start clapping along, and they all start singing the second verse, which I don't really know, but I just kind of, and the next thing I know, I was like being bodily like bent over backward, and my mouth pried open, and vodka just like poured in. But again, that idea that like I had to bring something to the table. And I think a lot of people are searching for the crack. They're searching for these magical experiences that are just supposed to happen to them. And I think
that maybe they feel the world owes them.
Yeah.
Like if they just do this thing, Ireland will give them what they are owed by Ireland. But in fact,
you have to bring something there. And I've found time and time again the moments where I've actually found that kind of magical, where I've found the pie, as it were, the crack, in Ireland or Scotland or in the United States or Australia or whatever. It's the times when I was willing to give.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, they go as audience members or as performers, they go somewhere expecting to get. And I think the more that you're willing to give, the more that will come to you.
I think there is no better way to end than on that thought. Because that kind of seems to be, you introduced that idea in your act.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of seems to be where you're at right now in terms of what you're doing. And I think it's a beautiful thought. And I think that performers and non-performers could take a lot away from that. And it's a good way to try to build and live a good life. It's a really good philosophy. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for having us.
This was a real delight.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming.
I feel it was a real delight. Tom, was it a real delight?
This was a real delight. Absolutely.
Just in a moment, we will have Strangely's performance. So thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And I guess to all a good night.
Enjoy your burrito, everyone.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Wow. Oh my gosh. That is what I like to hear in Petaluma on a Monday night. Okay. The world is a scary place, full of things that could kill us. Things like spiders and snakes and scorpions and people driving logging trucks down windy mountain roads while you're on a bicycle tour. But today is not the day that we die, is it? Excellent. There was the one slow Baptist no in the distance. It was good. Yes, today is not the day that we die. So what we say to death today is not yet. So what do we say to death today? Okay, excellent. Those of you watching along at home, you have to do it too. Okay? So let's try it again. What do we say to death today? Good. But a little bit faster. We'll be here for like 9 hours. What do we say to death today? Excellent. You'll get it. Oh, what do we say to death today? That's it. Good. What do we say to death today? Come on. Good. What you gonna do when the Reaper comes? Well, as for me, I'll bite my thumb and I'm gonna tell him. Ooh, upon the sea beyond the storm I ride. Davy Jones down in your locker, I'm not gonna lie. None of this brings fear to me. I spit in the face of the wind and sea, for this is not the day that I die. So what do we say to death today? Almost. Come on! What do we say to death today? Louder! What you gonna do when the Reaper comes? Well, as for me, I'll bite my thumb and I'm gonna tell him. 'Cause I've seen my death 1,000 times in my dreams. Not such a bad way to go, it seems. Since how you go is up to chance, you might as well just join the dance and run into the maelstrom with a scream. Now I make the last chorus a polka, and I bet some of you are wondering why. Well, here's why. It's because I'm self-employed, so I do whatever the f*** I want. All right, here we go. This is your last chance to participate if you have not yet participated to the fullest extent of your abilities. Here we go. What do we say to death today? Good. What do we say to death today? Good. What you gonna do when the Reaper comes? As for me, I'll bite my thumb and I'm gonna tell him. Thank you. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, Seattle, settle down. Excellent, yes, good. Wow, I am in the middle of this huge, long bicycle tour. I just rode my bike here to Petaluma from Seattle, actually north of Seattle, a place called Bellingham, Washington, about 1,000 miles. It's not the longest bike tour I've done so far. I actually rode 2,000 miles last fall across Europe. Seamless transition. And I had just done my one-man show at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and I was doing all of this stompy, loud, rah, rah, stuff that I'd just done just there in the top deck of one of those double-decker British buses. And I'd get about 60 loud, excited Scottish people up there in the bus. And we'd all start stomping and have just a grand old time. And I got the worst review of my career. In a Scottish newspaper, a woman wrote, "When strangely stomps, the bus rocks, and not in a good way." Yeah, and I'd had full crowds my whole run. I did the show 30 times, full every time, and so it was really hard. And then to hear that, and then I was broke, because it's very expensive to do something this niche and go to another continent. And so I didn't have enough money for a bus ticket or a plane ticket or a train ticket, because my flight back to the United States was from Helsinki in Finland. So the only thing I could do was to ride my little folding bicycle here, 2,000 miles across Europe. And I did. And it was really hard. And while I was riding, I saw an empty bottle of Buckfast floating out in a bay. And I thought, that's how I feel right now. Like that empty bottle of Buckfast. Like the thing you're not supposed to use up all of has been used all up. I'm a writer whose words won't have meaning when I am dead. I'm a pair of lovers who can't find a bed. I'm a parent whose only child is down in the ground. I'm a little lost boy who will never be found. And I don't know what the hell I'm doing here. I don't know if I can make it through this year. I'm a man whose socks are made out of holes, wearing shoes with worn out soles. I'm an empty bottle of Buckfast out on the bay, hoping the tide will sweep me away. Dogs can hear it. I'm a singer who can't remember his own lyrics so good. I'm a sword in the hands of a master, but I'm made of wood. I'm an old sailing ship that's stuck on the shore. I'm a big fancy hat, worn only for war, and I don't know what the hell I'm doing here. I don't know if I can make it through this year. I'm a man whose socks are made out of holes, wearing shoes with worn out soles. I'm an empty bottle of I just realized that there are some of you here not watching this video in Scotland or Ireland or Australia. So for those of you who aren't, I feel like I should probably explain what Buckfast is. You see, Buckfast is a tonic wine brewed in the south of England by Benedictine monks. They've been doing it for about 500 years. Buckfast is highly sugary, 18% alcohol, and caffeinated. Buckfast is a bad idea in a bottle. It's the kind of thing, it's the Sparks of the old world, the Four Loko of the UK. It's the kind of thing that shows up at a party at 3 a.m. when everybody's tired and they just want to go to bed and they just want to be done with the party, and then somebody kicks in the door and yells, "I brought Buckfast! The Knights of Fetus, let's party!" And the amazing thing is, more often than not, everybody does party a little bit more. And people start passing that bottle of Buckfast around, and everybody ends up getting very, very jolly. And everybody starts singing old folk songs and playing silly games like Never Have I Ever and Spin the Bottle and Whose Finger Is That? And it's just this amazing... I can tell some of you in Scotland have played Whose Finger Is That? And it's an amazing experience. You know, it can be really magical. But the thing is, you never see an empty bottle of Buckfast because nobody ever makes it that far. You're not supposed to. There's always supposed to be some Buckfast left. So when I saw that empty bottle of Buckfast, I felt like that empty bottle. But then I realized, whoever those people were who emptied the bottle of Buckfast, they went somewhere. They saw something. They probably don't remember what it was, but I bet it was amazing. So I wrote a little sing-along part for this song, and you can all do it at home, whether you're wearing pants or not. It goes like this. I'm an empty bottle of Buckfast out on the bay. You sing, what a party, what a party. I sing, hoping the tide will sweep me away to a better place, to a better place. So it's what a party and to a better place. Do you reckon you can do that, me hearties? Do you reckon you can do that, me hearties? Good, let's try it. I'm an empty bottle of Buckfast out on the bay. Party, hoping the tide can sweep me away to a better place, to a better place. I'm an empty bottle of Buckfast out on the bay. What a party, hoping the tide will sweep me away to a better place. One more time, to a better place. I'm an empty bottle of Buckfast out on the bay. What a party, hoping the tide will sweep me away to a better place, to a better place. I share that very low point in my life because I think it gives my life perspective. You know, I think so often in our lives we only share the low points or the high points. It's so easy to get wrapped up in the negatives. My cat just puked. Only 5 people came to my show. Only one person loves me. None persons love me. The person who loves me is far away, whatever. We should share our low points, but we should also share our high points. And I share that very low point in my life with all of you because it gives the next high point perspective. See, I was riding my little bicycle through Belgium, and a man rode up next to me on his bicycle, and he was wearing those little spandex sort of bicycle shorts, and nothing else. And this middle-aged man, who was probably about 65, he asked me in French what I was doing there. And I said, in my not very good French, something like, Je suis étrange. Je suis American cabaret superstar. Je suis el monstro la vilo. The point is, my French is horrible. But we kind of had a little bit of a back and forth, and we looked up some words on our cell phones. And finally, he understood. He figured it out. I saw that light go on in his mind. He got it. He understood that I was this accordion troubadour traveling across Europe on a bicycle, because the only way out for me was forward in Finland. And then he stopped his bicycle, and he made me stop my bicycle. And he came up to me, and he put his hand on my shoulder. And in English he said, "You are a legend." So I wrote this song, and it's called I'm a Legend. And I always dedicate this song to Miranda, who wrote that article that said, when strangely stomps, the bus rocks, and not in a good way. I feel so bad for her. She just didn't get it. And also to any of you who have ever wanted a fight song, any of you out there in the world who have found this video, this can be your fight song for when you're washing the dishes or punching a tree or eating small shavings that you filed from the back of a chair. Whatever you do, this can be your fight song too. Out here I stand at the edge of my hope. Nothing left to cling to but this piece of burning rope. That's when I'll say to the monsters at my door, come on inside, boys, I think there's room for a few more. I'm a legend, I am free. Across this land I'll roar. I'll tear the roof right off of this place so you can see the stars. I don't care if they like it or say that it's not art. I won't rest until you hold my bloody bleeding heart. I'll ride my bike 1,000 miles to play one song for you. I've done it. There's not much I wouldn't be willing to put myself through. Cause when my lungs are aching and my legs have gone out, that's when I know I'm doing the stuff that they'll talk about. I'm a legend, I am free. Across this land I'll roar. I'll tear the roof right off of this place. You can see the stars. I don't care if they like it or say that it's not art. I won't rest until you hold my bloody bleeding heart. Now, I grew up Baptist, which, it's all right, I got better. I grew up Baptist, which means I like to have call and response whenever I'm doing a show. Whenever I'm sharing my music with people, I just really want to yell things out and have them yelled back. So we're gonna try that. You see, I know here at the Phoenix Theater, it's haunted. So there might be some ghosts willing to do some call and response with me. Let's see what happens. I'll shake the bus. Those are very timid ghosts. Let's see if we can get a little bit more. Can I get a little more ghosts in the monitor? I'll shake the bus. I'll break the walls. I'll fight on until I crawl. I'll shake the bus. I'll break the walls. I'll fight on until I crawl. I'll shake the bus. I'll break the walls. I'll fight on until I crawl. I'll shake the bus. I'll break the walls. I'll fight on until I crawl. So fill your writing with your hate, walk out into the rain. I'm only sorry I couldn't save you, that you wanted me to explain. Yes, my voice is loud, no I won't tone down. I think 2 or 3 people have heard me on the other side of town. I'm a legend, I am free. Cross this land I'll roar, I'll tear the roof right off of this place. You can see the stars, I don't care if they like it or say that it's not art. I won't rest until you hold my bloody bleeding heart. Yes. Now, by the way, I like to call this the Scottish piccolo. Would you like to see a circus trick? Yeah. Yes? Oh my goodness. I'm gonna make you all wait. No, don't worry, I'm still gonna do it. Don't worry. First, I'm gonna bring out a special guest performer. Ooh. Ladies, gentlemen, those of you outside the gender binary, please put your hands together for Mr. Aaron J. Shay! Hey, Aaron.
Hey, Strangely.
Oh, did I leave that a little tall for you? I'm sorry.
A little bit.
Did I just say sorry? Am I Canadian? All right. This next song is by Aaron.
All right, ready?
I'm ready.
1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3.
The water is calling. The waves are all crashing just like drums of war. The naiads are dancing to the beat of what lies in store for us. Oh, what lies in store for us. And when the time comes, these towers will fall with the tide. So call the Kraken,
Call it Leviathan, to the ritual, oh, to the funeral. Call the Kraken and call Leviathan. We'll give this city a burial at sea. They'll give this city a burial at sea.
the water is rising. It offers no treaty, it makes no demand. The fog is creeping in to swallow us in silver and cover the land that we love. Oh, what land do we love? And when the time comes, these walls will fall with a slash. So
Call the Kraken, call the Leviathan, to the ritual, oh, to the funeral. Call the Kraken and call the Leviathan. They'll give this city a burial at sea. They'll give this city a burial at sea.
Hey, Strangely,
Yeah, Aaron.
do you hear that faraway and beautiful noise just faint in our ears?
Yeah. sound of a hope in C major. Wait a minute. We don't have to go out like a bunch of punks. This doesn't have to be the way that we die. No! There's something we could say to death today if only we could remember what it was. What do we say to death today? Not yet. Come on! Not yet. That's good. What do we say to death today? Not yet. Good. Not yet. Yes. What you gonna do when the reaper comes? Well, as for me, I'll bite my thumb and I'm gonna tell him. Not yet. Not yet. Bring on the Kraken. Bring on the Leviathan. To the ritual. Oh, to the funeral. Bring on the Kraken. Bring on the Leviathan. They'll give this Orleans a burial at sea. They'll give New York City a burial at sea. They'll give Petaluma a burial at sea. They'll give your home a burial at sea.
Hey,
Oh my
hey, thanks
goodness.
for letting me play one of my songs, Stranger.
Yeah,
That's
well,
really nice of you.
You're welcome. This is gonna be our last song, and this is also a sing-along, and it's very easy, so we're not even gonna teach it to you before the song starts.
I think they're up on it. I think they're ready for that kind of sing-along level.
All right. And I'm gonna do the circus trick during the end of this song, so it's like a grand finale, or for those of you who want to click away and watch a cat video, the grand finale. Okay, here we go. Thought that this could be a home, a place of warmth when the cold winds blow. But at your touch the rot begins to grow. Now you've gone and cracked the stones, singing ya da 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 da. 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 So that's the sing-along part. It's very easy. It's just a lot of ya da da and some da da da. You're walking down an endless dusty hall. Nothing that you plant will grow tall. Nostalgic but no place at all. You're on not so much a journey as a fall. Just singing ya da 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 da. 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 A place that you could fill with song, but the roof that you trusted was built wrong. Though your urge to stay remains strong, you're now told you best be moving on. So sing ya da 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 da. 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 Here we go. Ya da 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 da. 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 Keep going. When will this all end for me? I want my roots to go deep. Just singing ya da 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 da. 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 Keep going now. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. One more time. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Thank you so much. My name is Strangely. This here is Aaron J. Shay.
Thank you so much, Phoenix Theater.
Oh my goodness. Is that good? Did we get, you guys were filming that, right? All right. Thank you so much, everybody.
Is that it? Is that it?
We're good? That's it?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
All right.
Is that it? One more time for Strangely, everybody.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Wow. We got through it, you guys.
Together.